Hey everyone, welcome to our Real Review series. We're Notebeats CG Academy. I'm Harris Wu, and I'm here with Sitting Liu and Chen Ji. In this series, we're going to break down rigging and CFX reels to help you understand what makes a good portfolio for landing a job in our industry. This is an ongoing, completely free series, so if you want us to review your work, feel free to send us your reel anytime you want. And if you find this is helpful, make sure to subscribe and share it. It will help us a lot. Before we get started, just a quick note. Everything we share here is based on our own experience and personal opinion, and it doesn't represent any studio we have worked with. So let's get started. So today we're going to review Victor Salas' rigging reel together. A big thanks to Victor for sharing his work with us. So let's take a look together first. Okay, let's start the review. This reel is a really solid start. So we can see you have explored different type of rigs, work with Unreal, and have some Python script as well. It's great to see the good range of experience. There are definitely some areas that could be pushed further. So let's go through them one by one. So let's start with Chen Chen.
Okay, I think it's a really good rigging reel, but I have some ideas I want to share with you. The first one is the opening animation is a little bit long. It's almost 387 frames. We don't see any rigging technique detail. It's hard to tell if this is animation reel or rigging reel. I think we need to capture people attention. And another one is about squash stretch things. I think if we can show the squash stretch in the specific animation or in the some extreme poses, that would be great. I also noticed that we have the quadruped rig here. If the quality is good, you could show that too. You can use the same way I mentioned earlier. I also noticed we have a three biped rig here. Looks like they are using the same rigging system. I don't know if you build the rigging system, but if so, it will very, very helpful if you can show the detail and to prove your Python skill. That's for me, yeah.
All right, thanks to Chen Chen. That's really good notes. All right, what about Sitting? What about you?
Overall, I think the demo is pretty solid and it's a good starting point. The thing I would suggest is the mechanical rig. So I feel the robot is kind of simple. It's basically a biped rig. And you already have like three bipeds showing in the beginning. I feel like if you could include a more complex mechanic rig here would be good. So more complex the mechanical rig to show your understanding of how to use Maya math node, utility nodes to define the logical relationship of those hardware connections is ideal. For instance, you can take a look at the pistol engine. That's a good example for you to do a mechanic rig. Also, here it is really nice to see some Unreal part. That's a great addition to your demo reel. I would suggest you to take a step further, try to apply the mocap data in Unreal instead of just moving the controller here and there. That basically like you do the same thing in Maya, not much difference. And I didn't see a face rate in this demo reel except all those secondary control around the lip line. It's definitely not wrong to not showing a face rate in your demo reel, but if you want to maximize your chance to get into your ideal studio, would be nice to include a face rate. A good face rate should include the design of different control level on a face. The first level is the base shape controls. All those base control like to trigger the shapes, like triggering brow lower, brow up, cheek razor, and the mouse corner up and down. Such thing like that. The second layer should be like secondary control, like what's already in your rig. All those secondary control around the lip line, that's normally the secondary control in a face rig. A third layer would be a squash stretch control to overall deform the face. A squash stretch control is important. It also shows your understanding of how to manage deformation order and the deformation layer in Maya. Yeah, that's my opinion.
All right, so thanks to City. That's really good. Then that's back to me. To me, I want to add a couple additional notes here. So first is the animation. For animation, we actually in rigging we need one specific type of animation. So that doesn't really need to be, let's say, awesome animation. So you might not really have a professional animator with you, and the timing might not be perfect. That's totally fine. So what we need is we need poses. We need poses to show the deformation. So for example, let's say I want to see let's say the arm moving extremely up, right? So then we can see how well your chest, your shoulder, your back muscles to deform to hold up the volume, and then you can show something that say your arm is rotating around. So basically, all the challenging parts, let's say shoulder or your leg or your hip, all those areas, we want to see some animation to show your rig have the good range of motion. So same concept apply to face. As Cindy mentioned, we would like to see a face rig. At least what I would like to see is different expressions. So obviously your reel is more cartoony style. So I want to see all of expressions, really exaggerate expressions. So it's blend from one to the other. Then we can see how well all the volumes and all the shapes hold up from one expression to the other. Besides that, I also have one small note here. So here, for your arm stretching or twist, you can see your elbow part. So there's a pop. You can see here, there's a pop, okay? That happens because your rig is go beyond the limitation, right? So the rig is broke. That's totally fine. All the rigs have the limitation and it's going to break when you go beyond that. But what we want to be careful here is we don't want to show that in our reel, right? What you can do here is just one option, just simply cut it off. And the other option is just make sure your animation never go beyond the limitation, so it won't trigger that problem. After that, then let's talk about your Python script here. It's really good. You have two Python tools here, and looks like they can do lots of stuff here. So lots of features, which is really nice. So this is going to show you're comfortable with Python, and that's very important for rigging reel. One thing I would suggest here is I want to see a more detailed description here to show what exactly your tool can do. But because from your UI here, I can see, you can change the orientation and it could be either stretchy or not. And also I can see here you have a IK blend. Also, once we build the rig, can see there are also some like secondary controllers here. So I can see there are lots of features, but those are all the stuff that I have to read myself through your UI or through your final build result. What I want is like I want you to break it down here to have like a very detailed feature list, like showing like what exactly your tool can do. So because if I read here, I might miss some of the important features. But if you put it here, then I read this. If I see something interesting, then I'll remember that. The other thing I will say is right now you only have like your arm joint, elbow joint, and your wrist joint, like this joint chain to skin with your geometry. What I would suggest is like you add a root joint here to hold up the volume for your body. Because right now all the body parts are following your arm, right? So which makes this looks a bit weird. I mean, I understand this is just a simple tool showcase, but it still looks a bit weird and might give people an impression that you're not paying too much attention to details. So you definitely want to avoid that, right? So I would suggest either add a root joint here to hold up the body volume, or the other option you can have is just to go to your mesh, then just simply delete this part of the faces. So you only show the arm itself. All right, so that's all for our feedback on this reel. So as we mentioned at the beginning, this is a really solid start. With some adjustments in presentation, and maybe add one or more pieces, it can definitely stand out even more. So big thanks to Victor for sharing your reel with us, and thanks everyone for watching. We hope this was helpful. If you find this is useful, don't forget to share and subscribe. And if you'd like us to review your reel as well, feel free to send it over anytime. See you in the next one.